Yeah, hey, good day there. It's Wrench Gear here. And this is going to be today's undertaking here. We're going to throw a set of snows on this truck here. We're doing this all the time for everybody else. And now it's finally time to get on the mine and get this thing all ready for the winter time coming. I got the small tow mirror, the small winter mirrors on here. Got the tow mirrors off because we're done towing trailers for the summertime. I have a video on that. You should, right there, I got a video on that. You should go check that thing out. Explains very easily how to swap between your tow mirrors and your small mirrors that you may use for the winter. I use them for the winter because, well, to get in and out of narrower garage doors and stuff like that, whatever. So anyway, go check out that video. It's a good one. But for today, we're going to throw a set of snows on this thing and get this thing all going. So doing a seasonal tire swap over is obviously similar to changing a flat tire out, but there are a few little different considerations you want to take into account there. So first of all, we want to block these these tires here with some good tire chocks there, so that this thing isn't going to be going anywhere. So now if you're parked on the side of the road changing a flat tire there, you want to be doing something like that. Keep the thing from rolling frontwards and backwards. You know, a lot of people want to put on their park brakes. They're not, I know everybody calls them emergency brakes. They're not emergency brakes, they're park brakes to be set when you're parking your vehicle. Anyway, people want to set their park brakes. But you know what, they don't use them for the whole year long or a couple of years, and all of a sudden they put the things on and they're half seized, and then they don't come off, and it's always a big problem. So I never ever use park brakes on anybody's vehicle ever. I'm going to use wheel chocks in front and behind. So that's fine when you're sitting on the side of the road on a nice level shoulder of the road to keep your vehicle from moving back and forth. However, here I'm not on a nice level shoulder. I'm on a hill going down here in my driveway, which is no good. So we're not worried about that one because the thing's not going to roll up backwards to the garage. So we're going to stick him underneath the other side, and we're going to have one underneath of each front wheel there to make sure this thing doesn't go away on us. All right, he's in under there. We got that one under there, and we got this one on this side here. So we've got him there. So the trick with knowing where to place these, why did I put these under the front wheels and not under the back wheels, right? This thing's a rear-wheel drive car. If this thing was truck, if this thing was a front-wheel drive car, we would have put the wheel chocks underneath the back wheels. So you're going to put your wheel chocks under the non-driving wheels. So when I jack the back of this thing up, right now the transmission, the parking option of the transmission is holding this thing in place. When I jack that wheel off the ground, all of a sudden the transmission is not holding it anymore, and these wheel chocks have to hold it. So they're going to, when you jack it up, the vehicle's going to try and roll forward, but it will be stopped by that. And then later on, there's going to be a lot of pressure on that from the tire, and you won't be able to get the thing out. So the order of what we're going to do this in is we're going to do a drive wheel, and then we're going to go over to the other side and do the other drive wheel in the back. And then all the pressure is going to be on these two wheel chocks. Then when I go to jack this front corner up, the transmission will be holding it. So I can just easily pull that wheel chock out of there, boom, gone, drop it down. And then I'm going to finish off by doing this other wheel on the other side here. Going to do the other wheel here, jack it up, pull that wheel chock out, and everything's good. So this thing will not roll away. So the order of operation is going to be put the wheel chocks under the non-driving wheels and change the driving wheels first. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's going to make sense. So You know, whether you're front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, chalk the non-driving wheels and change the driving wheels first. Okay, so I got my tires sitting here ready to go on. I got my jack ready to jack the thing up. Got the one going on the front over there. So yeah, get your tires all situated at the corner where you want them all to go on. You know, rights and lefts. So you know what, for rights and lefts, there's a lot of different excuse me, there's a lot of different theories and opinions on, you know, should they be cross switched from one side of the vehicle to the other. I never do that. I keep my rights on the rights and my lefts on the lefts all the time, and I will move them from front to back, rotate them forwards and backwards for even wear, but I never cross switch them. And like I said, there's a lot of opinions on that. A lot of people say, "Oh man, you got to cross switch them," but I never ever do. I figure this thing's been rolling, you know, in the same direction for a number of years now, and all the belts inside that tire, they've been all flexing and moving in the same direction for all these years. So now if I take that and I spin it around and flip it over on the other side of the vehicle, the thing's rolling backwards as compared to the direction it's rolling in now. So now all of a sudden all the belts inside are going to be flexing the opposite way of what they normally would be. And maybe there's prone for belt breakage, or they're going to shift, or who knows what. And then you got a thumpy tire and whatever. I don't know. I've always done it this way, and it's always worked out well for me. So I'm going to continue to keep my lefts on the lefts and the rights on the rights. Now you want to decide which one is going to go on the front of the vehicle and on the rear of the vehicle. So the tire with the best tread goes on the front, because you want to be able to steer where you're going in bad weather. You know, everybody's worried about, oh, I want to get this thing going, it has to move, I want to get it going, I don't want to be stuck on the snow or on the ice or whatever. You know what? You want to steer where you want to be going, because you know, if you can't get going, big deal. But if you can't steer, that is a big deal. You need to be able to avoid something that you're about to crash into. So best medius tread goes on the front so that you can steer. And you should have good ones all the way around anyway, but best ones go on the front. And I like to keep them side to, you know, on their proper sides, like I said. But so nowadays, a lot of tires, they're all directional anyway, so they need to stay on the side that they came off of. But anyway, so, and for me, and if they're not, you know what, if they're not directional tires, you go, oh, hey man, how can I remember? Well, you mark them, right? So you grab yourself a chunk of sidewalk chalk, you know, from the kids, or you don't have any kids playing with chalk anymore, so you go and steal one from the neighbor's kid when you know, go over there someday and help him draw a dog in his driveway or whatever, and grab one of his chunks of chalk. And when you take the thing off, you mark it. Jeez, that thing is heavy, man. And you mark it. Where is it? Right there from last year. Left rear on sidewalk chalk there. So yeah, so then you remember where the thing goes, and you can get it on there, no problem. Okay, so don't get your rights and your lefts mixed up. I guess I should say something about that too. You know, lefts and rights of a vehicle are designated by sitting in the driver's seat and facing forward, just like you're driving the car. So when you're sitting in there, you know, your left's on your left, your right's on your rights. Pretty simple thing to remember for all that. So I'm going to just show a few ways of getting some of these nuts off here, in case you know, this is new to some people, right? A lot of people do this. This is second nature to them. But somebody just starting out, or maybe new to the country and whatever, and they haven't had to do this before because they come from a warm climate and never ever had to put a snow tire on before. You know, sometimes getting the nuts off can be a little bit tricky, a little difficult. So I'm going to take this center cap off. I'm going to use a rag here, not to wreck my rim any worse than it already is. In there, we're going to stick this in, and we're going to pry that out. Pry them out like so. And there they all are, right? So, you know, numerous different ways of getting these things off. Some of them can be stuck on, man. They can be pretty tough some days, right? But, you know, it goes all the way from, you know, maybe you're going to take a great big Johnson bar, breaker bar, whatever you want to call this thing here, and and bust them free. Oh, like so. And I just know from experience, because this is my own vehicle, that these ones come off really easy. You know, spin them off by hand. You know, very easy, that stuff. But you know what? Sometimes they're tough, right? And you can't get them by hand. So maybe you just want to, use a big hand ratchet. You know, the thing that they give you in the car, along from the factory, that thing can be, you know, it can be a joke, right? But if you have nothing else, then you got to use it. But you know, you also go and get yourself a hand ratchet and do one of these type of deals. You know, you can do that. You can also bust the thing free with that Johnson bar there, like we did, and you know, maybe put on one of these guys, right? So you get an adapter to fit your sockets. 1/2-inch drive adapter there. They're available all over the place. Stick that in the front of this guy. And get rid of that extension out of there. You know, so you have this type of an affair, right? And you can spin them off like that. So this thing isn't strong enough to break the torque of them when they're on tight. So I use the Johnson bar, the breaker bar, whatever you want to call it, and went that route with it, right? So, well, maybe you don't have one of these. What else do you have, right? So we're gonna have this thing out. What else you have? Well, maybe you got a cordless drill here of sorts, right? So stick them in there. Same type of a deal here. Oh man, it's getting cold out here. My fingers are starting to get cold, man. So you know, you got this thing here, right? Stick the socket on the end of that and take them off like so. Right, on and off they go. You put them back on like that, take them off like that, whatever, you know. You know, maybe you're moving up to the big guys here, right? And you have one of these on the go here, and this thing is strong enough to break it all free. So you're doing that, you know. Other guys are still using all the air tools, right? You got this here big guy on the go. This gun is incredibly strong. Unbelievable how strong this thing is. But yeah, I take them all off. Strong stuff. Anyway, there's a multitude of ways of getting these things on and off. A lot of different tools that you can use and different ways to do it. Okay, so for jacking this thing up, so first of all, what I was doing there is I was only taking off one at a time and getting them on and off and whatever. Don't ever take them things all off at once without the thing being jacked up or supported by something, because the thing's going to fall off and somebody's going to get hurt and whatever all else. So I was just doing that to show different ways that they can get off and put them back on, whatever. Anyway, they're all back on and they're all tight right now. So anyway, I'm going to use this floor jack to jack this thing up. A lot of people don't have a floor jack. They maybe are relying on the scissor jack that comes with the vehicle from the factory. You know, a lot of cars don't come with spares now, and they don't even come with a jack. So you're going to have to resort to going out and buying one of these, or going out and buying a scissor jack, or whatever you're going to do. But anyway, if you use a scissor jack there, refer to your owner's manual for jacking points. You know, on this old van and on a lot of the newer vehicles, when you look underneath here, it's a little bit difficult to see, and it's dark and kind of rusty here, but where the fender comes down, or the body, the rocker panel comes down, and it comes right to a point here, which is difficult to see. It's a piece of metal that is vertical, and then the floor comes over to meet it, and it comes up the other side, and you have two pieces of metal here that are pinched together, and they're spot welded and pinch welded. And here you can kind of see a bit of a almost like a notch there. This is the area here. Right there is where your factory scissor jack is supposed to go. Refer to your owner's manual to make sure you're doing it right. But anyway, it's right there. When this thing's up on that jack, do not have anybody sitting in the vehicle, because it's going to fall over and somebody's going to get hurt. But anyway, I'm not doing this. I'm using the big round roll around floor jack. All right, so going under the truck, where we're going to put the floor jack underneath the truck. I'm going to come under here and have a look at everything, and you know, time to get this thing oil sprayed again for the winter time. Keep all the salt and crud off of it. We're living in the salt belt, the rust belt here, or whatever. But anyway, you know, years ago people always, just put your floor jack right underneath the old diff housing there and crank her up, eh? Well, unnecessary and whatever. We don't need to go about doing that. We're gonna just do one corner at a time. So I'm gonna come in here. I could put it on the bottom here of this shock mount. That's all welded very solid, very hard. I could just put it on one of these U-bolts that are sticking down from that spring saddle there. So really, all that stuff is incredibly strong and super beefy, and you're hardly lifting any weight here anyway. Just getting the tire off the ground and whatever. So I'm just going to shove it in here, probably go onto one of those bolts of that U-bolt end there, and jack this thing up and get it on there. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for right there. And this jack is kind of a slow one. I got a different one that I've been using lately, but I already had this one out. So we're gonna go right onto them bolts there, and I'm on that now. And let's get situated here better to pump this thing. And no big deal, he's coming up. And there, just tried to roll forward a little bit, but the front wheel chock stopped it. And we're off the ground here. Trying to be off the ground there anyway. He's off the ground there now. Let's see, we're gonna spin these wheel nuts off. And use the big guy. Hey, somebody tried to take off on these. Went AWOL. I'll give him a hit, and off he comes. Grab the sidewalk chock here. And this is left rear, so we're going to write in here left rear. So we know for next year that it was a left side. And we'll compare the treads again in the spring. Alright. I had a lot of rain and freezing rain and everything yesterday, so this thing here got a little bit of a rust buildup on it. This thing's looking like it could go for getting a new one anyway. He's been on here for a little while now, but anyway, take a look. Now's a good opportunity to take a look at your pads in there, brake pads from the side and from here. These ones are starting to get down a little bit. I have a set of new ones. I'm gonna put them on, but I'm probably gonna wait till the springtime for that. They'll last for the winter time, and we'll throw some on then, and it's all good. So here we are, it's off. It's all very well supported. I'm not getting underneath this vehicle. It's only being held up by a jack, but there's no reason to get underneath the vehicle, so we're just gonna leave it like he is, and we'll put the snow tire on. Roll him into place. Actually, what I should mention is make sure that this mounting surface here is nice and clean and it's good. Like there's no buildup of corrosion and crap and crud on there. If there is, take your drill with a wire wheel on there and clean that off. This one's good. And likewise, make sure that this here is all good. It looks a little mucky right now, but that's just got some lithium grease on there from last year. I put that on there so that those alloy wheels don't corrode on and get stuck. So make sure this is all nice and clean, and make sure that this here is all nice and clean. It's got to be good so the wheel will stay tight on there. All right, get these things all started. Okay, he's on there. And it go in a crisscross pattern all over the place so that wheel gets drawn in nice and evenly and it doesn't get all bunched up on one side and what have you. So now they're all in there even all the wheel nuts have set properly down into their little cones there. So we're gonna just snug them up a little bit. All right, so he's on there, so good. So we're going to let the jack down, and then we're going to torque these wheel nuts then. All right, so when you're doing this job, you need to be getting yourself a torque wrench. And torque wrenches, I think, down in the States you guys got Harbor Freight. Up here in Canada we have Princess Auto and Canadian Tire and stuff. You can get a off-brand torque wrench for whatever. Harbor Freight, they're $30. In Canada here they're 60, whatever. You can go right up to like $100 or $200. Go and get yourself a Snap-on one for $300 or more, whatever. It's unnecessary if you're only doing this seasonal tire swap over there, a couple times a year. It's not necessary to get a super big one. The cheap ones are accurate enough too. So I'm gonna grab the torque wrench and we're gonna get them all set up to go. All right, so getting on to torquing these things. So at this point, I would have gone around and I would have changed all 4 wheels already, and then I would have come back now and torqued them all, because the thing with the torque wrench is there's a big spring inside here and the handler and here, whatever, and you don't want to leave this thing. You have to adjust this torque wrench. You don't want to leave this thing cranked up all the time and put all this pressure on that spring. So when I'm done using my torque wrench, because you make the spring weak after a while. When I'm done using my torque wrench, I back it all the way off to nothing. So it goes down to, let me take my glasses off, can't see it. It goes down to 20. There's the 20. So I back it off a little bit back past the 20. To adjust this one here, you got to pull back on this ring. When the ring goes forward, it locks it into place so that the adjustment doesn't change while you're, swinging around off the end of this wrench when you're trying to tighten something. So all vehicles take a different torque value for doing these wheel nuts. So a very popular one is 80 foot-pounds. A lot of vehicles take 80 foot-pounds. Some of them are at 100, some are 105. This truck in particular is at 150. So they do have charts on the internet that you can go online and you can look up your car by model and year, and it will tell you what torque value you're supposed to use. This truck is 150. I don't like to scoot that thing all the way to 150 all at once, because, you know, you put one to 150 and that's tight, man. That's really tight stuff. But the nut right beside it is, you know, for, argument's sake, it's like finger tight, right? So you have one that's almost completely loose and the other one is at 150, and it's a huge difference when you're trying to draw stuff in evenly. So a lot of times what I do is I will crank this thing up to 100, which is right there, the 100, and I'll torque them all. And then I'll crank this thing up from the 100, I'll go up to the 150, and then I will go and I will do all the 150s. So to adjust this thing, I'm going to pull back on this collar and I'm going to start cranking this up. And you see all these numbers here spinning around. When you get to the zero lined up with this center line, that means you're at the value of the number here, 20. So I'm at 20 foot-pounds right now. Actually, I'm at 30 foot-pounds. Let me take back that off. So I'm at 30. The line under beside the 30, it comes over. It's kind of a dumb thing. Comes over, scoots down on an angle, and then it goes over to that center line. So for instance, this is the 20. Every time you crank it over, it's going up by 10 foot-pounds. So now I'm at the 30. I've got to get up to 100. So we're going to start cranking here. Pulling back on that collar and cranking it up. And where are we now? Get the focus. We're at about 70. So it's got to go around 3 more times to get to 100. So I'm at 100 right there. Okay, cool. So we're going to go and do all these nuts to 100. Okay, so we're going to get these things on there. I'm going to tighten these. And torquing procedure is the nut needs to continue to turn until the torque wrench hits its setting. And you know when it hits its setting because it'll make a loud click. There's a thing inside the handle coming off of that spring that I was talking about. There's a little doodah up in the top here, and it has to flip past another thing that's coming off of the head here. And I don't know, somebody smarter than me invented this thing. Anyway, the nut is supposed to continue to turn until it goes click. Then you know that it made it to that setting. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do it in a big crisscrossy motion here. So there was the click. All right, so I hope you could hear that click. So they're all at 100 now. So now we're going to crank this guy up to. See, now I would go around and I would do the other 3 of them as well if they were on. I don't have them on yet because I'm just demonstrating this for video purposes here. So now we're going to crank this baby up to 150. And here's 140. And one more time around is 150. So we got him snapped in here at 150. And the zero's on the center line, and he's at 150. All right, we're going to give her now again. Wait. Okay, so this has 6 wheel nuts on it. A lot of vehicles have 6 now. Some only have 4, some have 5, some have 8. And you're going, holy crap, did I miss one or what? Man, I was jumping around all like a big crisscross, spider web, whatever. So what I like to do now is I like to start somewhere that I remember where I'm going to start. A good starting spot would be straight up from that valve stem on that nut. And we're just going to go around in a circle just to check them all. make sure I didn't miss one, and I'll count in my head as I'm going. So I got to get to 6, and then when I wind up on that one again there, maybe I count 7, right? So I'm gonna go here, 1, hey, come on. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm back to here, 7. So I didn't miss one, and you know, when I was pushing on them, maybe they cranked a little bit farther, just a little bit. It was just overcoming torque friction, whatever. But anyway, that's it. So that's how you go about doing one of these. So now I would go around and I would torque all the rest of them up to 150. And then when they're all on and all torqued, then I come back and I will check all the air pressures and all these things. All right, so let's take care of these tire pressures. Hey man, how many psi? How much psi do I know how to put in these things here? Well, you know, the guy across the street, he puts 35 in his. Oh, the neighbor says he puts 32 in his. Again, a lot of cars are different. A lot of cars are also different from front to back. So inside your driver's door, there's usually always a sticker. Look at that. We're going to turn it sideways here. 38 and 38, front and back. Front and rear, and your spare. We're just interested in front and rear right now. 38 and 38 PSI. Sometimes they're, you know, 35 and 33s and all kinds, different vehicles. They're all over the place. Who knows, right? So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna do this. Put this guy about here and we're gonna check what this thing's got. And we're at about it's going to focus there, 30, I don't know what that is, 30, about 37. He's not too bad off. So I'm going to put him at, I'm going to give him a little shot here. Make him up to 38. A lot of people can't do this at home, but you can also go out and buy a little one there and do it. So now I'm at about 40, so I put in too much. We can focus in on that. About 40 is a little bit much. So we're going to try it again. And 38. Now he's like this. All right. Oh, he's up and down, up and down, up and down. 38. All right, he's on 38 right there. Every little mark is 2 pounds, 2 psi. So he's at 38. So good. We're going to call that one good. Now, if you had some kind of a center cap to put back on there, I do have some. There, I think a couple of them got cracks on, so I don't think I'm going to bother putting them back on. For this winter, we're just going to leave them like so, like whatever most other people do. Let them get all rusty, and yeah. So that's how that's all going. Okay, so I'm up to the front here corner now. I did that other one on the back on the other side there. So now you can see that there's pressure on this on the wheel chock, and I can't get that thing out of there. He's stuck in there solid because the truck tried to roll forward when the back wheels were off the ground. But now the transmission is holding the truck in place, so I don't need these front wheel chocks anymore. So we're gonna jack this thing up and pull that out of there. So you can pull that guy out, not need it anymore, and that's that. So now when you're at this point, then we can do a little bit of checking out some stuff on the front end. We can check out some our tie rod ends and our ball joint and our wheel bearing. God, geez, there, man, I got a brain cramp. So anyway, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna grab the top of the wheel and the bottom of the wheel. So I'm gonna grab at 6. That's 6. There you go, brain cramp. grab at 12, grab at 6, and we're going to try and rock it like this. And there should be zero play in it. That's checking your wheel bearing, which is in the center here. So we're going to grab it and we're going to rock it. And there's zero play in there. Zero play. I'm doing this. Zero play. So that's perfect. That's how it's supposed to be. So we have to assume the wheel bearing is good. It doesn't make any noise and it looks like there's no play. It's good. Now we're going to check the inner and outer tie rod ends. There's 2 of them on each side. Outer, inner, and on the other side is also outer and inner. So now I'm going to grab it at 9 and at 3. 9 and 3. And I'm going to try and do this. And again, there should be zero play. And there's zero play. I'm flexing it a little bit, but there's nothing going click, 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 click. It's zero. It's good. When you're pulling back on this here, that also helps to check the lower ball joint. A lot of times if that ball joint's loose, you will get play on the front one pulling back. And now another way to check the ball joint is we're going to take a bar, we're going to stick it underneath the wheel, and we're going to lift up on it. And we're going to lift up on it repeatedly, not just once. We're going to lift, 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 and we're going to see if we have any play lifting. Lift, 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 lift. And there's no play at it at all. This actually has a ball joint on top here too. Trucks are always a little bit different than cars. But anyway, there's zero play in it. And it's all good. Everything's good and tight. There's no rattling, there's no clunking, there's no nothing. So then when you get it off, check your brake pads. Just take a visual inspection of everything. Look at your rubber brake hoses, your flex lines. You know, look at the spring, look at the shock, look at all your rubbers in there and everything, making sure that everything looks good. It's not about ready to fall apart on you. And that's probably about it. You know, when you're gonna put this thing all swapping back around there for putting your summer tires on in the springtime, it's the exact same procedure all over again. So anyway, you know, this is if you're moving on it, it's a 45-minute job or whatever. You can get them all done. Inexperience or trying to mess around with stuff, maybe you're at an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You know, do it on a Saturday afternoon and take your time on it. So local shops around here are charging $100 plus tax for this service. I do it much cheaper than that, and I go right to your house and do it right in your driveway. But anyway, this is something that you can do on your own and feel good about accomplishing something. Make sure you torque those wheels back on afterwards, though, because you don't want one coming off. And about a week later, torque them again, check them again, make sure that nothing is backing off and trying to make itself loose. So I hope I didn't bore anybody too much as I tend to do some days. But anyway, if you got something out of this video, hit the like and subscribe, please. Really helps me when you hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. Tell me what I did right, tell me what I did wrong, tell me how differently you do it, whatever. But anyway, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, please. So we're gonna get these things swapped around. The cold weather's coming. So till we see you on the next one, have a safe winter and stay warm. Thanks for watching.